call me Mystic Mac because I predict these things.
Jackson McVey takes on Christopher Ewert this Saturday at UFC 317. And this is a short notice fight. Cedricus Dumas was initially supposed to be taking on Jackson McVey. Both of them taking it on short notice. Cedricus Dumas had to pull out. So now they're bringing in Christopher Ewert to take on Jackson McVey. Both these guys had about a week's notice in taking these fights. So curious to see how they both perform. Christopher Ewert, he last fought in January of 2025. He was supposed to be taking a fight on Dana White's Contender Series in August. And so they are pulling him out of that one and pulling him up to take on this fight. So I'm sure he was in training camp. At least I hope he was in training camp already. But Jackson McVey recently fought 2 weeks ago, I believe it was. Won the fight in like 90 seconds. Didn't take any real damage. So this should be a good fight. You know, I'm gonna go with Jackson McVey. I think that he's got a lot of promise, a lot of potential, shown a lot of skills in his the short career that he's had as a pro. 6-0, 26 years old, so not even into his prime yet. But Chris Ewert, probably just at the beginning of his training camp. I would imagine, 2 months out from his a month and a half out from his Dana White's Contender Series fight. And I'm watching some of his fights. He's got good boxing, good footwork, but I just see a lot of openings to get countered. He's awkward at times on the feet, kind of leaves his hands low, doesn't bring his hands back to his face, very quickly after throwing punches and exchanges. He does have heavy kicks. He was hurting, I think it was his last opponent, Reese Watkins, with some kicks, but susceptible to body shots. But he does put on a high pace. I think that's one of the things that he does very well. Puts a lot of volume out there, stays in his opponent's face, and has really good cardio. Doesn't seem to have the most knockout power. Like, he's got some knockouts earlier in his career, but it's against absolute bums that didn't look like they wanted to be in there. And Jackson McVey, this dude, 6 fights, all finishes. Very big for the division, 6'4" with a 77-inch reach. So he's going to be 3 inches taller, have a 5-inch reach advantage. Very long for the division. Fights well in the clinch with knees and elbows. Uses that height to kind of, jack up his underhooks, control guys along the cage. Has solid trips from the clinch along the cage as well. I saw him use a kind of a sacrifice throw a couple times on the regional scene to get guys to the ground. Has good grappling, sneaky submissions, very long. So he's got good front chokes, good darces, good triangles. Locked up a triangle very quickly, very slick on the regional scene, and has good straight punches. You see guys like Ewert, he's kind of looping his punches, whereas Jackson McVey, he's utilizing that reach advantage. He's throwing straight down the pipe, straight punches. Got some snap to him, decent power, had a standing KO that I saw, and just crafty on the feet, southpaw, long. I think he's got more finishing potential. I don't see Chris Ewert just bullying him, pushing a high pace, and taking rounds off of him. I see Jackson McVey keeping him at bay, him pushing a high pace as well, pushing him up against the clinch, maybe getting takedowns. That was another thing. Ewert, he was taken down very easily in a few of his fights. Gave up his back, was controlled on the ground for a little bit of time, and I feel like in those positions, Jackson McVey is going to catch him. He had a really good Darce choke that he locked up immediately on a guy. Again, that triangle choke that he locked up off his back, I just think that he's much more technical. He's much more polished. I think he's been doing jiu-jitsu for a long time. I want to say 10 years is what I thought I heard watching some of his fights. Can't find a lot of information outside of kind of the commentary on the fights. But I think he can finish him on the feet. I think he can get the takedown and control from there and get submissions. And I think he can get a submission standing too. He's tall. He can get that guillotine. He can get those front chokes. I think he had a power guillotine against a guy as well. So if Ewert, pushes forward, looks to get in the clinch, I see Jackson McVey hunting for front chokes and looking to get the finish. So I'm gonna go Jackson McVey in this one. Again, tons of momentum coming off of that last win 2 weeks ago. Both these guys undefeated, but I think Jackson McVey's got the higher ceiling. He's got more potential, and I just think he's all around more skilled with more finishing potential. So I'm gonna go Jackson McVey to get this one done by KO or submission. Thanks.